see people coming onto the chat. Hopefully this works. Hello, Pipson. Hello. It has, yeah. Great. Oh, this stupid thing that I have to do. Great. Fun. So exciting when you have to put in a code. Oh gosh, that's fun. Right there. Oh. All right, you need to just hold on. I'm going to be back. You just all hold your horses. I have to deal with something that I don't want to deal with, that I'm questioning whether or not I should deal with it. And that's what I want to access. And of course, I have to get in to it through that, which is going to be very annoying. And I'm going to wash my hands. And then I'm going to come down here and then put it in. And then I'm going to wash my hands again. So I'm going to do all that. And you can wait right here whilst I do that. All right. There we go. I have to take care of that, which is super fun. Be right back. Alrighty. So, I'm going to be having some pasta for dinner. These books are ruined. Ruined. You know why? Because I just touched under my arm. Let me think a second. Do I value my phone and computer? Yes, I do. Am I really going to do that? No, I'm not. Am I really going to try to avoid contact between my books and phone? No. Am I going to sit here and overanalyze whether or not I did touch my armpit? No, because an easier solution is to go up and wash my hands again. I will be right back. And I'm not going to do this again where I am going to be coming here and going back there. So wait a little bit longer and I'll be right there. Health is of one of my utmost priorities in life. Right now, which is why I had yogurt, raisin bran, almond water, and cashews with the little cheeses added in for lunch. How about that for healthy lunch? And I ate it late, on the later side. 1:30, I had lunch. And tonight, I'm going to be having some pasta from last night because it is personal expressor, healthier than bratwurst. Pasta with olives and tomato sauce and all that is healthier than bratwurst. So that's what I'm going to be having for dinner tonight. Alrighty. So welcome. Guess what? I've found an excuse to do these live streams and these videos for the event, and you know what it is? Object A, object B, these, which are going to turn into banes of my existence over the course of the next couple of weeks. Why am I doing this privately and not on my own YouTube channel? Well, if I valued my YouTube channel and my audience, do you think that I would be doing this in front of them? Point is, I think that you got the message by now that I don't value as much. That's just the truth, and I'm not going to sugarcoat the truth. Now, it's a year. I'm going to keep saying this over and over. It is a year past the point that I compulsively and idiotically deleted all those videos that I put the time, energy, and effort into making of this amendment. So, the only excuse I will come on here and do these things for all of you is if I am doing something under duress, meaning if I need to do something that I am forced to do and not that I want to do it. If I am the one imposing this that I must do, my YouTube channel and everything else. But if it is by somebody else, that is where I'm to come on here and I'm going to literally do every single assignment in these 2 classes through this format and through these live streams. It's going to be boring, but I am going to do whatever I can to keep it entertaining and interesting for all of you to watch me as I work through my responsibilities, which lie in addition to the compulsive OCD that I am trying to work on right now. And actually, that's a very good expressor for this and this. It's something called a sick expressor. You know what that is? It's something that is very negative and it should be taken absolutely seriously, and yet you use it as fuel against something else, against somebody else. So, expressor to this is, guess what? I am dealing with this other more important thing in my life right now, which is my mental health. I am dealing with, I don't know, trying to get healthy in my interest in astrology and spirituality and the people that I follow on YouTube. All these things are expressors to this and this right here. These 2 books, which don't have a whole lot to do with spirituality. I can think of somebody right now. Her name is Eden. Now, this is where, if you want spirituality, if you want wisdom, you need to go to my YouTube channel. You're not going to find that here. Let me just start in with the expressors first of all, because that's just a little bit of the news that I want to spill about what is going on in my life right now. The thing about I'm going to go against somebody, and never mind. So I get very annoyed when I'm referring to somebody and I cannot find a spiritual way of explaining my feelings about them. There's nothing spiritual in the Syrians ate their dessert first. There's nothing spiritual in dance till you drop. But I would never express what I experienced with my family at a wedding in Chicago. The only thing was it wasn't very healthy because of the wedding being very late at night. And the music was loud. I mean, beyond that, beyond the overwhelming atmosphere, it was a blast. It always is. And that's why it's not the healthiest environment. and situation because it costs me my sleep and my mental health the next day. So if you look at it from that perspective, you can see the two sides of the given issue right there. Now, when discussing who I am with this particular semester in terms of my teachers, a flake, just an ordinary flake. You can't pair it to anything. You can't connect it to anything. It's just a flake. A flake that is totally original and you can't find any semblance with what is going on in your life at the current time. That flake is alluring. There's nothing wrong about that flake whatsoever, except there is nothing that drops down here, except it's all up there. And the problem is, guess what? In my lifetime, anyone who's up here, I don't know. I think you have to integrate and go down here before you can really get me at this point in my life right now. Now, that flake that I just made a metaphor of right now is who I'm referring to. Let me just go through my list of things that I find wrong about this particular person. Let me think. Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot at all. But what I can think of right now is not very spiritual. Now, that is the only thing that I can find that is a flaw with somebody that's saying a whole lot. The only thing that I can find wrong is not very spiritual. Well, I think that it's a pretty good semester. Here's the thing. It is a class that requires you to do work and all of those kind of things, and yet here you are, a graceful klutz, coming in and grabbing people's attention by your flossomeness. Where's the integration here? I mean, where is the depth? Where is the spiritual bridge into all that you're talking about? What is this going to really mean? How am I going to walk out of the class just ordinarily getting nothing out of the class, as I have gotten nothing out of the previous classes that I've taken? True story, except for that one. That was unbelievably tough. Is this going to be one of those classes that just means nothing to me? Or what is the real meaning? I mean, this is my thing now. What is the spiritual meaning of this class? What is this? Like, what does this mean on the spiritual meaning soul level? What does architecture, dance, literature, all those things mean? What does it all mean? that question has yet to get answered. Meanwhile, back at the ranch in 2017 and 18, had I been in this particular class, I would be in alignment, maybe. Now I'm a little bit less in alignment with the class and me at this particular point in my life. My career has nothing to do with the outside world. It is an inner career that I wake up and work at. What is my career? I don't know. It may be just an inner experience because I am still doing that work. I am still doing that work. I haven't yet. That's me. And there's nothing wrong with that. And don't you dare put me in a position to believe that I am not adequate enough. That I am just somebody who does not have the purpose. Because that is something that I am hyper aware of. Now, I'm not saying that this particular person did any of that. Absolutely not. But the theatrical thing, I have moved beyond that. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it at all. But there's nothing wrong with so many things that you see in the world that you go to and you don't feel completely nourished by. There's nothing wrong with any of that either. Describing somebody, I mean, this is so annoying. I don't like describing anything about them, anything about people that I can't have somebody. Never mind. Point is, I don't know. I don't know what it is. My mind, Mercury retrograde in Virgo, is trying to pick out flaws, and I'm finding a very difficult time. My South Node in Scorpio is finding a very difficult time. I think that is a pretty darn good sign for a particular person, isn't it? But at home, meanwhile, back at the ranch, I have enough stuff going on. Mentally, emotionally. I go to DMAC to escape all that. Oh, you have another thing to do on top of all the things that you're dealing with. Not that it's a whole lot to deal with. Not that a quiz over a section is a whole lot. But I am dealing with so much work on an internal level for me personally. Throw in this, throw in, whatever. And it can be, yet another thing that I need to make time to deal with. Now, my real work is my YouTube channel. You all know that. But that's what I value as my work. This is just work that comes second to my main work. And yet it's still a value to me. So why am I squishing its value by coming on here? I mean, anything that I say and do on here, I do not value as much as the other things. I just want to make that very, very clear. If I'm going to be doing my work on these live streams for any work that I do, and I'm not going to leave here until I get all of it done, that is saying that I do not value this as much as other things, and that is true. That's true. So maybe I will find value in some kind of juice out of what I am reading and learning here. But none of it is, again, really meaningful. So, it's not meaningful. And so, therefore, I shouldn't treat it as is, because boom. I mean, if it is deep and, meaningful and whatever, then that's something that I'll really dig into, invest into. Like, I'm reading a book of my choice or doing whatever. But because of the nature of this at my, the current point in my life, I just might as well just say, oh, it's meaningful. There's not a whole lot to it. So I might as well treat it as such, which I'm going to do right now. You're good and all, but you are up here. I want somebody to go down here, or you're down here, but I want somebody to be up here. I want something up here. I don't want something down here, 3D, three-dimensional. I don't even know what I'm referring to when I say three-dimensional, so forget that I even said that. I don't want someone down here. I want someone up here. So, with that being said, let us proceed into this quiz. Try to give it as much sprinkling of justice as I can. However, I've already explained what I did just explain to you. So, here it is. Let's just go through this and see what happens. Alrighty. Now, if I could share my screen, then I would, but you're just going to have to listen to me. By the way, announcements. What do I have to tell you for announcements? Nothing, because that's not my job. Alrighty, so let me go down to this. Okay, first question. Chapter 1. Let me just flip to chapter 1 and do this. This is live. I've never done this before. I've never opened this book up, and this is how I will be reading this book and approaching this book, unless I later in life come back to this and go, you know what, I want to dig into this, my own initiative at my own time. So this book is a resource, so I just want to read it for the sake of reading it. Boom. I will do that. But this is something that I have to do for a class for somebody else. So therefore, I'm on this live stream doing this, and I will treat this book with, I will invalidate this book. I will not put value into this book. The value of the work that I do for this class and the classes that I have will be on these live streams. Alone and only these live streams. So, let me dig into the book, which, by the way, I had to get a binder for it because I ordered the book and it was just a bunch of pages, like a stack of pages. It was unbelievable. So I had to. Okay, let's go to the first page. This is like magic, just a magic cookbook. I've never opened this book. Now I'm going to try to pick up on the flossomeness of the person that I have. Very refreshing, considering that the last teacher that I had in that same classroom was pretty by the book. I'm saying that very, very strongly. Okay, chapter 1. An introduction to humanities. This is what it says. So the question is, broad areas of human creativity involving analysis of values are collectively referred to as. Well, let's find out, because I could say the options are, first of all, the humanities, the history of mankind, scientific methodologies of the arts and sciences. There's an obvious answer for this, but yes, there's an obvious answer for multiple different things out there. So I want to find out the real answer. Let me tell you something. The same rule applies for note-taking when it comes to my videos and when it comes to things. Here's what I do. I have an article, I read through it, and then I write down what I remember. And I will literally do that if I am doing a research paper. And I'm reading through an online article, same thing. It's not any more important, because guess what's more important? My videos, my YouTube channel. And my strategy is read through the whole article, write down what I remember from reading it. Same thing here. So, it says the humanities and study of values. The humanities, a study of values. The humanities and sciences are not as distinct from one another as current academic descriptions imply. Originally, the humanities indicated a split from theological studies, which centered on God because they concern themselves with humans and human activities. The academic distinction centers on mathematics and the hard sciences, which depend on measurement and exact comparisons. I can feel you just nodding off. I am too. The academic distinction centers on mathematics and the hard sciences, which depend on measurement and exact comparisons, while the humanities depend on ideas and research that can be understood and felt but rarely measured. Most colleges describe themselves as a college of arts and sciences. In this book, we focus on the arts, but science sometimes enters the discussion as well. The current separation between the humanities and the sciences reveal itself in a number of contemporary controversies. For example, I'm probably making this way harder and taking way longer than I should take with this, but who knows? Okay, so for example, the cloning of animals has been greeted by many people as a possible benefit for domestic livestock farmers. Genetically altered wheat, cereals, soybeans, and other food crops have been heralded by many scientists as a breakthrough that will produce disease-resistant crops and therefore permit humans to continue to increase the world food supply. On the other hand, some people fear that such tampering with genetics may become uncontrollable and possibly damage food supplies in the long term. Scientific research into the human genome has identified certain genes for inherited diseases. Notice the way that I said that. Certain genes for inherited. Yeah, you can tell. So let me just say that again. Scientific research into the human genome has identified certain genes into inherited diseases, such as breast cancer, or Alzheimer's disease, that could be modified to protect. There is no meaning in this at all. So why try to suck meaning out of something when there's none at all? That could be modified to protect individuals or their offspring. Genetic research also suggests that in a few years, individuals may be able to design their future children's intelligence, body shape, height, general appearance, and physical activity. Okay, this is getting too in the weeds here. So, the humanities is the answer. Cave artings reveal that. Well, where does it talk about? We can make this so much easier by just flipping to the section where it talks about what the question is implying. So let me just find where it discusses cave art. Let me just see here. So, cave art. Where does it discuss cave art? Where does it talk about this? I have no idea. Oh, here we go. All right. So, the humanities developer sensitive values. There are numerous ways to approach the humanities. Values are clarified in enduring ways in the arts. Human beings have had the impulse to express their values since the earliest times. Ancient tools recovered from the most recent ice age, for example, are decorated with elaborate designs that made them not only useful but also beautiful. The concept of progress in the arts is problematic. Who is to say whether the cave paintings of 30,000 years ago that were discovered in present day France are less excellent than the work of Picasso? Cave paintings were probably not made as works of art to be contemplated. Getting to them in the caves is almost always difficult, and they are very hard to see. They seem to have been made for a practical purpose, such as improving the prospects for the hunt. Yet the work reveals something about the power, grace, and beauty of all the animals it portrays. These cave paintings function now as works of art. From the beginning, our species instinctively had an interest in making revealing forms. Art is a sacred matter. Animals have been important in the development of values. Art has a geographical connection. Among the numerous ways to approach the humanities, we have chosen the way of the arts because, as we shall try to yeah, I said the word correctly, the arts clarify or reveal values. As we deepen our understanding of the arts, we necessarily deepen our understanding of values. We will study our experience with works of art as well as the values others associate with them. And in the process, we will also educate ourselves about our own values. A value is something that matters. Engagement with art, the illustration of values, enriches the quality of our lives significantly. The subject matter of art, what is it about, is not limited to the beautiful and the pleasant, the bright sides of life. Art may also indicate and help us understand the dark sides, the ugly, the painful, and the tragic. And when it does, and when we get it, we are better able to come to grips with those dark sides of life. Art brings us direct communication with others. As Carlos Fuentes wrote in The Buried Mirror, people and their cultures perish in isolation. but they are born or reborn in contact with other men and women of another culture, another creed, another race. If we do not recognize our humanity in others, we shall not recognize it in ourselves. Art reveals the essence of our existence. I have some choice words to say about that for the fact that it's counter. So, from the beginning, humans instinctively made revealing forms. When you are reading through a book and answering a question, you need validation. So, let me see if it even validates what I am wanting to choose as the answer. So, revealing forms. From the beginning, our spaces instinctively had yes. Boom. That did not come from just guesswork. So, 8 more questions remaining. What statement best corresponds with the author's approach to the humanities? This is going to be a difficult question. Okay, let me read this next section. When the great sculptures and paintings of the Italian Renaissance were being made, their ultimate value hinged on how good they were and how fully they expressed the value, especially religious but sometimes political, that the culture expected. Michelangelo's great heroic-sized David in Florence was admired for its representation of the values of self-government by the small city-state as well as for its simple beauty of proportion. No dollar figure was attached to the great works of this period, except for the price paid to the artists. Once these works were in place, no one valued them because they would cost a great deal in the marketplace. Today, the art world has changed profoundly, and art is sometimes thought to be an essentially commercial enterprise. Great paintings change hands for tens of millions of dollars. Moreover, the taste of the public shifts constantly. Movies, for example, survive or fail on the basis of the number of people they appeal to, therefore. A film is often thought good only if it makes money. As a result, film producers make every effort to cash in on current popular tastes, often by making sequels until the public's taste changes. For example, the James Bond films 1962 to 2021 and the Batman series 1989 to 2021. The Star Wars series 1977 to 2019 cashed in on the needs of science fiction fans whose taste in films is excited by the futuristic details and the narrative of danger and excitement of space travel. These films are considered good despite the emphasis on commercial success. But in some ways, they are also limited by the demands of the marketplace. Our study of the humanities recognizes that commercial success is fine, but it's not the most important guide to excellence in the arts. The long-term success of works of art depends on their ability to interpret human experience at a level of complexity that warrants examination and re-examination. Many commercially successful works gives us what we feel we want rather than real insight and understanding. By satisfying us in an immediate way, commercial art can dull us to the possibilities of complex, more deeply satisfying art. The saying, matters of taste are not disputable, can be credited with making many of us feel righteous about our own taste. What the saying means is that there is no accounting for what people like in the arts. For beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Thus, there is no use in trying to educate anyone about the arts. Obviously, we can disagree. We believe that all of us can and should be educated about the arts and should learn to respond to as wide a variety of the arts as possible, from jazz to string quartets, from the Three Stooges, the films of Spike Lee, from Lewis Carroll to T.S. Eliot, from folk art to Picasso. Most of us defend our taste because anyone who challenges it challenges our deep feelings. Anyone who tries to change our responses to art is really trying to get inside our minds. If we fail to understand its purpose, this kind of persuasion naturally amuses resistance. For us, the study of the arts penetrates beyond facts to the values that evoke our feelings. The way Miles Davis's jazz riffs can be electrifying, or Bob Dylan's lyrics give us a thrill of recognition. In other words, we want to go beyond the facts about a work of art and get to the values revealed in the work. How many times have we found ourselves liking something that months or years before we could not stand? And how often do we find ourselves now disliking what we previously judged a masterpiece? Generally, we can say the work of art remains the same. It is we who change. We learn to recognize the value illuminated in such works as well as to understand the ways they are expressed. Such development is the meaning of education, in the sense in which we have been using the term. I'm going to read this whole chapter because this is not a question that you find from the book in an answer. And it looks like we still have some reading. So that is great. Chapter 2. Oh, not that much reading. Okay. I'm just going to read through the whole chapter to be able to answer this question. Responses to art. What time is it now? Okay. Responses to art. Our responses to art usually involve processes so complex that they can never be fully tracked down or analyzed. At first, they can only be hinted at when we talk about them. However, further education in the arts permits us to observe more closely and thereby respond more intensely to the content of the work. This is true, we believe, even with easy art, such as exceptionally beautiful works, for example, those by Giorgione, figure 210, Cezanne, figure 24, and O'Keeffe, figure 413. Such gorgeous works generally are responded to with immediate satisfaction. What more needs to be done? If art were only of the beautiful, textbooks such as this would never find any users. But we think more needs to be done, even with the beautiful. We will begin, however, with 3 works that are not obviously beautiful. The Mexican painter David Alfaro Sequeira's Echo of a Scream is a highly emotional painting in the sense that the work seemed to demand a strong emotional response. What we see is the huge head of a baby crying, and then, as if issuing from its own mouth, the baby himself. What kinds of emotions do you find stirring in yourself as you look at this painting? I can't even see the painting. I don't even know what it's talking about. What kinds of emotions do you feel are expressed in the painting? Show me the painting. Your own emotional responses, such as shock, pity for the child, irritation at a destructive, mechanical society, or any other nameable emotion, do not sum up the painting. However, they are an important starting point since Sequeira's paints in such a way as to evoke emotion, and our understanding of the painting increases as we examine the meanings by which the evocation is achieved.
We're eating in 10 minutes.
Okay.
So can you please be ready at 10 so we can eat together?
Okay.
I don't want to just get internet.
Study another work very close in temperament in Sequeira's painting, The Eternal City by the American painter Peter Bloom. After attending carefully to the kinds of responses awakened by the Eternal City, take note of some background information about the painting that you may not know. The year of this painting is the same as that of Echo of a Scream, 1937. The Eternal City is a name reserved for only one city in the world, Rome. In 1937, the world was on the verge of world war. Fascists were in power in Italy and the Nazis in Germany. In the center of the painting is the Roman Forum, close to where Julius Caesar, the alleged tyrant, was murdered by Brutus. But here we see fascist black shirts, the modern tyrants, beating people. In a niche at the left is a figure of Christ. And beneath him, hard to see, is a crippled beggar woman. Near her are ruins of Roman statuary. The enlarged and distorted head, wriggling out like a jack-in-a-box, is that of Benito Mussolini, the Italian dictator who invented fascism in the black shirts. Study the painting closely again. How has your response to the painting changed? Before going on to the next painting, which is quite different in character, we will make some observations about what we have said, however briefly, about the bloom. With added knowledge about its cultural and political implications, what we shall call the background of the painting, your response to the eternal city may have changed. Ideally, they should have become more focused, intense, and certain. Why? The painting is surely the same physical object you looked at originally. Nothing has changed in that object. Therefore, Something has changed because something has been added to you. Information that the general viewer of the painting in 1937 would have known and would have responded to more emotionally than viewers do now. Consider how a fascist, on the one hand, or an Italian humanist and lover of Roman culture, on the other hand, would have reacted to this painting in 1937. A full experience of this painting is not unsendential but multi-dimensional. Moreover, knowledge about a work of art can lead to knowledge of the work of art, which implies a richer experience. This is important as a basic principle since it means that we can be educated about what is in a work of art, such as its shapes, objects, and structure, as well as what is external to a work, such as its political references. It means we can learn to respond more completely. It also means that artists such as Bloom sometimes produce works that demand background information if we are to appreciate them fully. This is particularly true of art that refers to historical circumstances and personages. Sometimes we may find ourselves unable to respond successfully to a work of art because we lack the background knowledge the artist presupposes. Picasso's Guernica, one of the most famous paintings of the 20th century, is also dated 1937. The title comes from the name of an old Spanish town that was bombed during the Spanish Civil War. The first aerial bombing of non-combatant civilians in modern warfare. Examine this painting carefully. How many pages do we have left? The next painting, figure 1-5, featured in Experiencing the Screen, is by Edward Munch, one of the best-known modernist painters. Despite the lack of a political or historically relevant subject matter, the screen, with its intense blocked red sky and its expression of apparent horror, has become one of the most famous works of modern art. Structure and artistic form. Your responses to the screen are probably different from those you have when viewing the other paintings in this chapter, but why? You might reply that this screen is hypnotizing, a carefully structured painting depending on a subtle but careful contrast in powerful colors and basic geometric forms. The strict horizontal and vertical lines of the bridge with the swirling forms of the landscape, waterscape, and flaming red sky. The interacting force of such forms and colors while operating subconsciously is obvious on analysis. Like all structural elements of the artistic form of a painting, color and form affect us deeply even when we are not aware of them. We have the capacity to respond to pure form, even in paintings in which objects and events are portrayed. Thus, responding to the Eternal City will involve responding not just to an interpretation of fascism taking hold in Italy, but also to the sensuous surface of the painting. This is certainly true of echo of a scream if you look again at that painting. You will see not only that its sensuous surface is intrinsically interesting, but also that it deepens your response to what is represented. Because we often respond to artistic form without being aware that it is affecting us, the painter must make the structure interesting. Consider the contrast between the structure of the scream and the urgent complexity of the structures of the cypress and the bloom. The composition of any painting can be analyzed because any painting has to be organized. The parts must be interrelated. Moreover, it is important to think carefully about the composition of individual paintings. This is particularly true of painting one does not respond to immediately, or difficult or apparently uninteresting paintings. Often the analysis of structure can help us gain access to such paintings so that they become genuinely exciting. Artistic form is a composition or structure that makes the subject matter more meaningful. The Siqueiros bloom in Picasso reveals something about the horrors of war and fascism. But what does the scream reveal? Perhaps it reveals just the form and structure. For us, structure or forms that do not give us insight are not artistic forms. Some critics will argue the point. This major question will be pursued throughout the text. It goes on to talk about perception. As you can tell, okay, yeah. Alrighty. So, apparently, I'm not done. I'm not going to deny myself any food, because that's wrong. I'll figure something out. Hold on, I will be back. Not very long from now. I'll be back.